Bobby, you can't drive and Zoom.
I am completely hands-free. I can listen.
Chairperson Riggs, we are ready on the staff end whenever you are ready to start the meeting.
Thank you. Sorry, I was printing my agenda. All right. Jackie, would you like to do roll call?
Commissioner Castro?
Here.
Commissioner O'Reilly?
Here.
Commissioner Riggs?
Here. All right, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, my video was off. Okay, we match. All right. Moving on, the next item we have is public communication, hearing of non-agenda items.
Chairperson Riggs, I have not received any written communication on this item.
Thank you. We do have two guests, Michelle and Joseph. Welcome. The next item we have is approval of the minutes from our October 13th meeting. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Reilly? Oh, did she freeze?
Yes.
Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Motion carries with 3 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you. Moving on to regular business. Item 1 is the donation of a 1887 Citrus Fair photograph to the Pioneer Museum.
Yes, as you see within your packets, the photograph from the Citrus Fair. This is a donation from a family who has previously donated a lot of items, and I mean a series of items, to the Pioneer Museum. This specific item was discovered by their family later, but it still met the collection criteria for our Pioneer Museum. So we are asking that the Park Commission approve this donation of the photograph to add to the collection.
Thank you. Is that something that we need a motion for? I don't recall.
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve this donation. And
I move to donate the 1887 Citrus Fair photograph to the Pioneer Museum.
I have a question first.
Oh, okay, sorry, Bobby.
I don't know if the raised hand thing in there works. Anyhow, my question about the donated item is we are getting rid of a lot of donated items. Is it something that's going to be used or something that's going to be put into storage?
This is something that will be used to add to the collection of Citrus Fair photography that we have on hand.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bobby, I did not see your raise hand thing.
How do you do that?
That is perfectly okay.
Commissioner, Chairperson Riggs, if you have the participant, are you able to see the participant list?
No, I came in on Zoom, not through like I did last time. So I don't have the capability to raise hand and vote like I did last time.
So Commissioner Riggs, I just gave you host responsibility, so you should be able to see the participant list now. I apologize.
Thank you. All right, so Kay had motioned to approve the receipt of that donation. We're looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. For voting, we'll do roll call voting, right?
Yes. Commissioner O'Reilly?
Yes.
Commissioner Castro?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Motion carries with 3 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a donation of several educational items to the Chinese temple.
Yes, these 3 items were received a year or so ago, and they've been on hold, but our docents from the Chinese temple did not feel that they met the collection criteria, but they were of such good quality that they felt that they should be used for educational purposes when the museum does have tours. It could be a hands-on kind of item that could be used for tours and presentations. So we're asking for these to be accepted as educational donation, but not to be assessed within our museum collection. Purely educational for the museums for hands-on education.
Great. Bobby, you have a hand raised?
Yes, my same question as for the last donated item. My understanding is we had a lot of items that were donated previously in the years past that were for the same purpose. They were going to be used for, maybe they didn't fit the exact era or the exact criteria for the museum, and they were going to be used for educational purposes or used for other things, and that's part of things that are being yard sold now. Where would this be for educational purposes if it doesn't fit the criteria or the era of the museum?
So for the Chinese temple specifically, many of the items that are on display are behind glass. And so our attendees or those who come to tour the museums cannot touch these artifacts. These are artifacts that the kids can touch and feel. So you'll see that the tapestry isn't just a tapestry, it's embroidered, it has fine beads attached to it so that students can understand the intricacy of these tapestries. And also with the urn, people or the students can understand, or the attendees to these tours can understand the craftsmanship that's put into these artifacts, but yet these artifacts still don't meet our specific museum criteria for receipt of artifacts as accepted donations. So that's where these are good tools. And some of the other items, and we'll get into it further in the next staff report, but the items that are being deassessed are either declined in value, or they don't have any, what am I trying to say, that they are no longer suitable as displayable items for our museums. Does that make sense? Okay,
so I guess to bluntly ask the question, do the docents feel that this will be used? Do they feel it will be used, not stored?
Yes, this was specifically requested to be retained as an education or as educational pieces by the lead docents of the Chinese temple.
Okay, that's fine. I don't want to see us accept something that's going to get put away and then later on we're trying to figure out what to do with it. If it wasn't going to be regularly used, I'd like it to go somewhere that it would. So I'm all in agreement of accepting it.
I agree with Commissioner O'Reilly. I think there's display value, use it, touch it, feel it value, get rid of it value. And I'm just hoping and assuming that we're making that kind of decision before we accept things and as we get rid of things. Because I think the holding and touching and feeling is a great transition from display to get rid of.
And that's what, and again, I'm prematurely discussing this before we move on to this next staff report. But that's really what our docents have done. They've gone through and they've evaluated all of these artifacts within our museums, and they've deemed what should be accepted and retained and what items can be relinquished, whether we have duplicates, whether their value has been degraded, the condition that they're in. All those factors are weighed into what's retained and what is deassessed.
Is that you talking, Dawn?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Great. So we're looking for a motion, it sounds like.
I'll make a motion to accept the items.
The second.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, guys. There's a few of us, so we all have to do something.
Commissioner O'Reilly,
Here. Yes.
Commissioner Castro,
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs.
Yes.
The motion carries with 3 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you. Moving on to the fourth item of our agenda, deaccession of various museum artifacts.
Just to dovetail onto our previous discussion, again, these items have been evaluated by our docent association as to what should be retained and what should be relinquished from our museums. And some of these artifacts that are being deassessed were previously taken in, but still did not meet the criteria of each individual museum. So that has all been taken into consideration, as well as their current state of condition, whether we have duplicates, things along that line. So that's why these are being requested to be deassessed from the museums.
Are these different than the list we approved during the last meeting?
Yes, the list we approved during the last meeting was actually items that were contained within the Chinese Temple Annex. This is a list following the review of the museums that these items are coming out of storage of the museums that were never displayed.
So just to clarify, it does say items stored in the Chinese Temple Annex. Should we change that in the agenda to other museum?
There are a few other items that were within the annex, but there is an additional list that was not contained within the annex. So I apologize for misspeaking there.
And I went through the email, what was sent, and I did not see a list of those items.
It's on page 27 and 28.
Okay. I guess I missed it. Thank you.
You want us to read them to you?
No.
Item number 1. Just joking.
And will you please refresh my memory? We're going with an online auction format, not a yard sale format, correct?
That is correct. So North State Auctions is going to hold an auction dedicated to the City of Oroville's deassessed items only, and that auction will take place in January. I don't have that date as of yet. I should have that date next week from them, and we will actually be sending it to our park commissioners and publishing it on Facebook, because that auction will be dedicated to the items from the Oroville museums.
And how long will that auction last?
I don't have those details yet, but I will send
Because our next meeting isn't until February, so this will all occur in between the meetings?
Yes.
If you get the details before our next meeting, can you send us an email?
Absolutely.
The funds from the auction, do I recall correctly that stays within the museums, or does that get absorbed into like the general fund?
That does stay within the museums. That is part of the parks policy and procedure. Bear with me. Number 44. So the proceeds from that auction goes back to the museums.
Good. Thank
I
you.
have a question about that. Does each museum have its own fund? or do all of the museums share a fund?
Each museum has its own fund, its own budget annually, but we would most likely divvy up those proceeds equally amongst those museums.
Thank you.
Will there be any other publicity besides Facebook about the auction for those people who may not have Facebook or online electronic?
We will also do a press release to send out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
So I guess we need a motion.
Yeah.
I move to place the additional items on the auction list for the assessed auction.
Second.
Commissioner O'Reilly,
Yes.
Commissioner Castro,
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs.
Yes.
Motion carries with 3 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay. Next item of our agenda moves into reports and discussions. The first one is the Docent Association report.
Michelle, do you have a report to provide the commission? Can you unmute her maybe?
If I can, let me see.
Michelle, I have been anxiously awaiting your report. I want to hear you.
I just muted her and she unmuted herself.
Okay.
There we go.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Basically, the docents went through the annex. You know, there's quite a few, spent a lot of time researching those items. And anyway, it's a big job, and we still have the things that we did keep out of the annex will be assessed, and that'll be another part of the process, but those we can do over a period of time. We don't have to do it right away, and that's good. We also, the docents, there's an article about the video tours of the museums, so the docents went in and spiffed up the museums and cleaned them up for the video tours, just so you know, we've been active in doing things even though the museums are closed. And I think that's essentially what you need to know. We've been busy trying to do something, even if we can't have tours and invite and guests to view the museums. And did you receive the newsletter?
Yes, it's on page 29 in your packets, guys. Can I ask a quick question about the video tours?
Yes.
What film group, I don't think I've heard about this before, but what film group is doing that? And then was that donated time or something that you guys ended up paying for?
The Chamber of Commerce is funding it.
Okay.
With the Chamber of Commerce, and they arranged for the people that came and filmed the tours.
Awesome.
And that was funded through their CARES Act dollars.
Oh.
So are we making that available or distributing? I'm sorry, I can't raise my hand. I'm just talking. Sorry, Chris.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, how strict I am.
How are we disseminating the information that these videos are available, and how do we access them?
I can answer that. We are awaiting the final cut of those videos, so they have so many hours and they're cutting it down into 20 minutes. And then they're also doing 3-minute slots. So we'll put those 3-minute slots on Facebook and the 20-minute videos on our webpage to be available to the public. And also we'll promote it on Facebook, the website, and another press release to get it out there.
Commissioner Bobby O'Reilly.
Michelle, I just want to say thank you, and please express our thanks to the docents that have been working extremely hard even during the present conditions and trying to keep busy and keep the life of the museums going. We really appreciate it. And a quick question: are these videos like a 360 tour?
I don't know what they film in. I only know that
One of a lead docent from each museum is moderating a tour of that museum. So it's all the hours of footage cut down into 20 minutes. I haven't seen them yet, and so once we receive them from the chamber, we'll also receive all the raw footage for future, but once we receive those from the chamber, we will send them out to the park commissioners as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much again. Thank you, Michelle.
thanks for your thanks.
Commissioner Castro?
I also want to extend my thank you, Michelle, to you and all the docents. That's a huge effort, and I think it's very worthwhile. Is there anything that you need from us in this current situation with any additional maintenance or security or cleaning, or is there anything we can do to help right now?
There may be some things that we're, it's hard to say. We're starting a process of trying to determine when we can open up and what will be required of the docents when we do open up. And so maybe help in that process once we get further along. At this moment, we only need a few docents at each museum to clean up the offices. We dumped a bunch of stuff in the offices because we moved it from, it ended up in the offices. We have to do some cleaning. But once we get past that, then there will be a process of you accepting the items we've decided to keep. And we'll be making lists. Anyway, we'll be making lists and getting things prepared. But at this point in time, I think we're okay. But your thanks will be appreciated, and I'll note that in the newsletter that the commissioners would thank us for our, for the task that was accomplished by the docents.
Sleepy.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, anything else on the Docent Association?
No, I think we're good. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we have administration reports.
First off, I would like to introduce you all to Jordan Daly. I know you've worked with her in the past, but she has a new capacity of our special committees coordinator or liaison, and she's also our city principal information officer, or PIO. So she will be, I'm kind of handing off the lead to Jordan following this meeting. So I would just welcome her with open arms. She's a wonderful addition to our family.
Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jordan. And Dawn, you're not leaving, are you?
Not leaving, just sitting in the background.
Okay.
I would find it beneficial if before COVID, I hate saying that, before COVID, our commission had created some objectives and goals as a group. And that was before Dawn was around. So at this point where 2 staff people passed when we started working on that, I think it would be a good thing to bring back for the February meeting.
Okay.
Jackie, I believe, has records of what those 3 objectives were. That
Yes,
might be a good way to just get some footing for the new commission and new commission staff.
I believe I do have a written documentation.
Different commitments into this too.
Pardon me?
I said we're also a few commissioners minus and a few new commissioner added to the goals that we did. Yeah.
From the top of my memory, the primary one was increasing, never mind. It should be something talked about later, not from memory. So welcome, Jordan.
And some other items for our administrative update is the municipal auditorium repairs. Those are still underway. As we've begun repairs, we've discovered further things that need to be repaired. But we are still working diligently to get that building up to par, and we can hand it off to the YMCA so that they can commence their agreement for running that facility. Another item is the Adopt a Park program. You guys have received, go ahead, question?
Is there a timeline on, I mean, I know construction timelines aren't set in stone, but is there a general timeline for that?
We hoped for it
But I
to
got-
be, oops, I apologize, Commissioner O'Reilly.
No, I just said I can't raise my hand at the moment, but I got something after Commissioner.
We had hoped for that timeline to be completed by the end of this year. There have been numerous unforeseen issues with the building that have arisen that we are trying to tackle, but it takes time. So we are hoping, again, our new timeline would be the early spring, at least before the fiscal year of 2021.
Okay. Thank you. Bobby, you had a question?
Yeah, so my understanding is that the municipal auditorium does not fall in parks or museums. So can I get clarification on that?
It does not. It was a general update from administration or myself, just because it's a prominent building in our downtown area. It falls on the levee where our trail sits, and that was going to be my next update, was going to be our trail. It kind of segues into that. That trail currently is, we're in the process of improving it, but we've hit some hiccups there as well with a labor shortage. So we've been trying to find crews to assist us with the decrease in vegetation along that levee line, following the goats. The goats only could consume so much before their little bellies were full. And so now we are looking for volunteer resources, whether it be SWAP crew, whether it be other volunteer groups within the community, to try to clear up the vegetation along that levee. And also with the Bedrock Park restroom that was vandalized and burned down, we are currently in the process of completing or finalizing those plans so that we can put that out to bid, and we can build a kiosk of sorts so that we can either have a snack shack or rent kayaks, rent bikes, something of that nature. We would, once that building is complete, we would put that out to RFP as well, to have a group come to us with their ideas on running that. So we would own the building and they would be the tenants. Any questions there? Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually have a quick question back to the municipal auditorium. And will you refresh my memory as to what the Y is going to be doing there and its extent? And if this isn't a question here, please direct me where I can go with the question.
I only have a basic understanding of what the YMCA's activities will be. It will be more of their recreational activities. I know that they recently closed their facility on Robinson and Pine.
Robinson and Oak.
Robinson and Oak, but they, again, that's probably a better question for the Y as to what the full extent of their recreational activities are. But I know that they will be doing more up there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Don, if you did answer my first question of, is it correct that the municipal auditorium does not fall in the Parks Commission capacity?
Not necessarily within the Parks Commission capacity. It did fall within the Parks Department because it's a rentable facility, and the Parks Department facilitated the rental agreements there. Yeah.
So
Okay, the reason I ask is because previously when I first came into Parks Commission, we had regular updates, and I think we even had to, or didn't have to, but I think we even made recommendations and possibly even voted on a couple things, I think for cosmetics or something of the sort for the municipal or in front of the municipal. So if I can, next meeting, is there a way to please get what exactly in that area or what capacity or part of the municipal that the Parks Commission is in for?
Yes, I can get you that information, but just to remind the commission that this building or this facility has already been leased to the YMCA. So at this point, we are just the landlord and they will be the tenant. So we are just trying to get the building up to par so that they can occupy it because their lease is already, or their agreement is already in effect.
Right. I understand that, but I guess for clarification, I would just wanted to know what exactly the commission is commissioned for of the municipal, and then I guess I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but in the future we only need to hear about those things of the municipal. That way we don't get going on other things that we're not even responsible for there.
Sure, that's fine.
Commissioner Castro?
Although I agree with Commissioner O'Reilly for a sense of time, I do find it very interesting that there's a lot of things that do interrelate. And I think, Dawn, you already spoke about that with the path and how the path goes to bedrock. So although I don't want to spend a lot of time on these issues, I do like that we bring a big overview once in a while so we can put two and two together. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Castro. I said I didn't want to come off the wrong way.
All right, moving on to the next administration report, Dawn.
So back to the levy. So
Oh, yeah.
I updated you on the trails and the Bedrock Park bathrooms. Also, staff is looking into putting Portland Loos at Bedrock Park, Centennial Plaza, and we're toying with a third location because we need to increase the availability of restrooms along the levee. It's a heavily utilized walkable path that has minimal access to restrooms. It's a very basic thing, but it's something that we feel greatly that we need to add to our levee. So we're working with our engineer, Mr. Atterbury, and our sewer department so that we can add that resource. We're hoping to have those installed the first of the year. And then
Commissioner O'Reilly has a question on that item.
Yes, are we still looking at putting a Portland Loo near the Veterans Memorial? And then also with the conversation of the bathrooms, is the bathroom on the corner of, I guess it would be Robinson and Myers at the public parking, would that be the Parks Department area or no?
that is the Parks Department area that has been considered for another Portland Loo. As in regards to the Veterans Memorial Park, we had offered that to the county and we were denied. So that will not be installed at the Veterans Memorial Park at this time. So it will just be the Centennial Plaza, Bedrock Park, and a third potential, but we haven't dedicated that third location yet because we still need to logistically figure out which would be the most beneficial location in the downtown area.
Okay, thank you. Wade, I know that you guys work very hard in the restroom areas, especially with that restroom. Is there a way to completely lock that facility up until something's done with it? Is that a possibility or no?
We've actually did many repairs down there, and we've actually tried to keep it open over the last few weeks, and we've just received a lot more vandalism to it. So it does have locking gates, but we're aware that people are climbing over the gates. So it is currently locked. We have looked at, securing it further. We're just kind of in limbo right now of trying to maintain it and keep it open for use or trying to completely lock it. And so I'm still trying to get direction from Dawn. I haven't really talked to her a whole lot about it, but we are considering that. But our thought is, if these Portland loos work out, is replacing that whole downtown restroom with a Portland loo at that location, and that would be idea.
I agree completely on that, and my concern is that with that facility not working properly, and with it, if we just not sugarcoat things here for a second and just say things like they are, that that facility is inhabited with transient and homeless individuals who use it for storage, use it for their own personal restrooms outside of using it as a restroom properly. There's been people staying there, sleeping there. There was about 15 individuals in front of that bathroom 2 days in a row, to the point where the neighboring businesses had to continue to call OPD due to the individuals who are hanging out right there, harassing people that are coming to their businesses. So I agree completely with putting something else there. Hopefully a bathroom, hopefully a Portland loo, because we do need something down there. And I really like the Portland loo idea after hearing Wade explain it. But I know that for the time being, until that gets a yes or no or whatever we're doing, that bathroom is going to continue to be a huge problem. And it's not fair to the business owners to have to deal with what they're dealing with down there. Obviously, it's nobody's fault but the vagrants who are causing the issue, But if there's anything that we can do to minimize that activity happening, that would be great. And I'm sure that the businesses down there would greatly appreciate it.
Bobby, I also want to say that the Business Association has asked Wade and the Parks team to keep that restroom open, because the experience that we had, especially during the primary shutdown, was that if the restroom is not available to them, then the sidewalks or entryways are. And so although it's still eyesore, it does help contain that in a sense.
So just so you're aware, they are still using the sidewalks and the gutters and the parking lot and the business fronts and etc. for their business. I don't know what the fix is. I'm just trying to think of ideas, because, and mostly it's, if we're just going to be honest, the average mother and father going downtown is not going to take their children into that restroom, because can't get in there half the time, and it doesn't work other times, and it's just not. It's just becoming more of a harm to the public than it is a help to the public, in my opinion.
Commissioners, I'm hearing your concerns.
I agree completely with everything that's been said. I'd like to, we did vote on those Portland loos at our last meeting and approve them. And it was my understanding that that downtown location would be done, that it wasn't a question where it was going to be, it was going to be there. And I'd like some clarification on that, because that's one of the reasons I voted for the Portland loos, was to help the downtown area with that. And secondly, I do unfortunately agree that we should do what we can to keep them open. I don't know how to address keeping them clean and used for their intended purpose, but I do not think that they should be closed. But I am curious why we're even discussing putting one there when I thought we voted on it last time.
I can clarify that.
Go ahead.
It was to put a Portland loo, 3 Portland loos on the levee. So the third one was supposed to go at the Veterans Memorial on the, I guess, the east end of the levee. So that being that one now is being declined by Butte County, we are considering that third location being downtown. So what was discussed at the previous park commission, my recollection is that we would start with these 3 Portland loos, and a future consideration would be that downtown parking lot restroom. So now that that third Portland loo at the Veterans Memorial is off the table, we have a third Portland loo for consideration. And so administration is looking at that corner, that restroom, as that third option or fourth option, whatever.
Well, that's my strong recommendation. And I apologize for misunderstanding. I thought it was going to be Bedrock and the veterans and that downtown. So my mistake, but I'd love to see a Portland Lou on the corner downtown.
Noted.
Thank you.
All right. Next administration report?
And I wanted to touch on the dog park, because that was an item that we had wanted, or that was requested to be agendized at the last park commission meeting. We have actually done further reconnaissance, if you will. We've done further research on this. I've contacted Feather River Recreation and Park District. Wade has also done research as to the pros and cons of a dog park. And the previous requested location was at Hewitt Park. We are actually working with a consultant to try to revive the master plan for Hewitt Park. There is a series of grant funding opportunities that are coming down the pike that we would like to apply for so that we can complete Hewitt Park to utilize that location to its fullest potential. So one of the things that I'm speaking with that consultant about is the possibility of incorporating a dog park into Hewitt Park. But again, at this point, we are still doing our research and we're weighing the pros and cons of what that will look like for our park. So I wanted to let you know that discussion has not been forgotten. It's still being researched. There's a lot of, as we said, pros and cons. Some of the pros are activity for the neighboring, the neighborhoods, and to bring their pets down to the park to recreate with them. But some of the cons are potential liability. It opens us up. Some of the cons are additional transient activities. So again, like I said, we're just weighing it all out to see what the best course of action will be moving forward.
I got something.
Commissioner Castro and then Commissioner O'Reilly.
I just casually said to a couple businesses over there, what do you think about a dog park at Hewitt Park? And they're all for it. They actually think it's in a location that is not being utilized effectively right now, that does provide kind of a sheltered place for people to hide or sleep or whatever, and that it actually would benefit their, maybe not their businesses, but definitely be of benefit in that area. So I think that you do have some business support for that as well.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Commissioner O'Reilly.
Just to really echo what Commissioner Castro said, also speaking with others, some businesses in the area, some residents in the area, and then also some citizens residents. The feedback I've gotten is that people do like and want a dog park, as they did when Riverbend Dog Park came. However, the area of Riverbend Dog Park, they didn't feel safe, and that's basically why it was abandoned and vacated by the dog people. And the dog people. And anyhow, right now, as Commissioner Castro also said, the area, I mean, I go through there almost daily, Hewitt Park, and I see vehicles parked on the backsides close to the embankments, camping, tents set up, people camping in the playground area, some other unneeded to be said things going on in there. And so I think if we had something like this, not only the support of the neighbors and the businesses and the community, but also if people would frequent it, like the support that we're hearing, I think it would also deter folks from wanting to come and do their not so good things there. Whereas the negative experiences at the other dog park, being in the remote location that it's in, I think were was the downfall. So that's my input on it.
To echo that, I just want to say that in my experience in parks that I feel comfortable at, or that my friends feel comfortable at, or that I've thought, wow, this is a great park, one of the things that really stands out is mixed use. So having a variety of different reasons for various age groups or people to be there allows for far more supervision and level of safety and drives away problem populations. So although I am a huge advocate for a dog park, to me, that's not the end all be all for that park. I think a lighted, marked walking path with physical exercise, additional play equipment, and lighted fields. There's nowhere that you can play a game of football or soccer past dark, and half of the year it's dark at 5 o'clock. Those are some things that lighted areas where people can still enjoy some outdoors because the weather's not bad, but it's just dark, would be another, some additional things that I think could really fit into that unused space at Hewitt.
And those are exactly some of the features that are within that master plan for Hewitt Park.
Okay. So while we were talking, I took some time to pull up my papers from previous meetings, and the goals that we had set, the primary one was security, increasing just general park safety and security. We thought the POP team could help in that a lot. In security, also increasing lighting and tree safety. Of course, we've heard a lot about tree contracts, so I feel encouraged in that. Has there been much updates as far as lighting goes?
As far as lighting goes, so for the parks, especially Hewitt Park, there is a lot of lighting work that needs to be done at that park. We're still visiting that. Wade and I have been working with the city electrician, but we were really waiting to see what transpires with this grant application. So kind of on hold with Hewitt Park. The other parks, our city electrician is getting to the lighting as he can. We have the one electrician for the whole city.
Yeah. The next priority that we had was park involvement and marketing, which it sounds like Jordan, as a point of information contact, would be able to really help this commission with, being able to promote what our parks and museums offer and encourage park usage. And then the third priority that we had was maintenance and improvement. So that included things like dog park, new play structures. We talked about a functional fitness area over by Hammond Park, drought resistant planting and wells. Is there any update on those things?
I'll hand this over to our public works supervisor.
Thank you.
There's been very few updates. I hate to report that, but with staffing levels, COVID and other things, and I don't like to make excuses, but parks have been put on the back burner with just a couple employees we had, and again with COVID and the turnovers. So this is something I'm excited to get back into the swing of things. Hopefully COVID doesn't shut us down here in the next few weeks, but with new employees and some of these contracts that have went out, we are achieving a lot of work, a lot of success in the parks, and this is something that definitely needs to be revisited.
Thank you, Wade.
And how many new hires we have? Okay.
Anything else administration would like to report?
That concludes my report.
Wade?
So, Bobby, you're just gonna have to sit tight because I'm in charge of street department as well, so I report on them at this meeting because they're an integral part of the Parks Department. With
Thank you.
With the few employees we have, I like to promote them all, and they all do work in parks, streets, public facilities and everything, so bear with me when I do talk about street department, please. So we hired 3 new people. We have 3 new employees. They started November 16th. I'm very excited about that. 1 in the Parks Department and 2 in the Street Department. So that brings our staffing levels up to 5 in the Parks Department, 4 in the Street Department, and 1 in the Building Department. The new employees, very happy with them so far. They're doing great. They're doing a lot of training, and they're really helping us out in the parks and streets and things. We're a little over halfway with the contract that we have in place with P31. I think I reported last time that they visited several parks, including Hammond, Rotary. They've been at the Sank Park. They've been at the Chinese Temple. They've been at the Nature Center. So they've visited numerous parks. I feel very comfortable with the trees in the parks now, where I didn't feel that they were in safe condition before. But they've pruned them, removed a few of the dying trees and dead trees, so that's been a good thing with P31. They've been out along the streets, trimming street trees and removing a few of the trees in the downtown area that are doing extensive sidewalk damage. As you know, we're right in the middle of leaf season, so I've got 2 street. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Is sidewalk damage, as an arborist, an appropriate reason for removal of a large, healthy tree?
If a
Or
tree
is it
was,
sidewalk damage and it's an unhealthy tree?
if the tree was at a mature size, then I would say sidewalk could be replaced, but a lot of the trees we're removing are about a third of the size that they're going to be, and so they're already causing extensive curb, gutter, and sidewalk damage. So when we talk about sidewalks, it's not that hard to replace a couple panels that are raised to eliminate the trip hazards. But when you got to replace the curb and gutter, you got to cut into the street. It's a whole lot more forming. It's a whole lot more labor intensive, and so. Unfortunately, a lot of these trees were planted in inappropriate areas for the size that they're going to get. So we are trying to remove, and this is just kind of the first phase of the big picture. We're also having the sidewalks assessed right now, so with trip hazards and things like that. So we're looking to get that report to see what our condition of the infrastructure is in, and so we'll be probably spending some money on infrastructure and sidewalk, curb gutter and replacement and things down the road, because we do get 15 to 20, 25 complaints, lawsuits a year because of trip and falls on raised sidewalk panels. So it's a big liability issue. So I wouldn't be removing mature trees if we could just simply replace the sidewalk around them. And we've did root pruning and sidewalk repair 6 years ago, 10 years ago, and those sidewalks are already raised up to the point where they're a liability again.
Commissioner Castro?
I live across the street from Cusel and, Lincoln and, Montgomery and Huntoon. I watched one day as someone with a blower blew all the leaves in front of those buildings out in the street. Then I watched somebody blow all those leaves back in to the buildings. Then I watched someone, I do a lot of watching, okay? Then I watched someone fill the square where there used to be a tree. They filled the square with the leaves. The problem with that is that when the leaves came onto the sidewalk, someone thought it was all sidewalk and it wasn't, it was a hole. There I know that is resolved, but who does that when the trees are removed? Should the sidewalk be repaired, or do we just leave that hole there?
Well, we try to fill the hole in. If we're going to not put a tree back, we will fill it in with concrete, but sometimes we're going to put a tree back. We're just going to put a more appropriate species there. Like Huntoon and Montgomery right there, those are all red oaks. Those trees get 48 inches in diameter, and those tree pits are a lot of times 36 by 48 inches. It's just not going to work. As far as down there, we have been coming in early in the morning and blowing 1 or 2 days a week, with coordination from the street sweepers, because we're running both street sweepers right now. So you will see us blowing leaves on the sidewalks and, and things, but I'm not sure who blew them back into the sidewalk area and filled up. I don't think it was one of my crew members. It may have been a citizen or, because we do get some people blowing leaves and things in the downtown area. But, that was kind of my next topic is leaf season. We are running both street sweepers right now as much as we can. They start at 3 a.m. We're bringing in 6 members of the crew 1 or 2 days a week early to blow leaves in the downtown, the parking lots, to help the street sweepers out. We're running the lawn sweeper through the parks, picking up leaves. So basically everybody in the crew is working leaves at some point during the week. We're running the loader, the large trucks, picking up leaf piles and things. So right in the middle of leaf season is crazy. I want to give a shout out to the Hope Center crew. We got the City Works crew. They do a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm not sure if you know about that crew or not, but my department works very close with code enforcement, and part of code enforcement is cleaning up some of the unsightly areas around town that you may or may not see. A lot of times they do this work before you see it needed to be done. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the city right now, and working with code enforcement has been very beneficial for the city as a whole. Sometimes we'll take the loader out, clean up the large messes, but a lot of times they'll run around and they'll be picking that stuff up. Also, they're out in the parks a lot, so that's why I bring them up. They've trimmed the oleanders at Hewitt Park. They did all that. They did the oleanders at Chinese Temple. They've done various painting projects. Again, wanted to let you guys know how beneficial that crew is. So, yes, Chrissy.
Today, they painted the Myers Street train bridge, and I lost my mind with excitement.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring that up in this meeting, but yes, and that's why they painted the overlook at Centennial Plaza, along the bike path that was full of graffiti. They're going to be doing large area graffiti at the Bedrock Park. So again, that crew is, they do amazing work for the city.
They're really great partners.
Yeah, and then just on top of that, other jobs we're doing right now is spraying herbicides. We're doing tree work in-house, cleaning parks and graffiti, of course, cleaning ditches and things, making sure drainage is flowing, and we're doing lots of trainings with the new employees. So that's kind of my report.
Commissioner Castro.
I want to give you a shout out. They are doing an excellent job, and they do have a routine, and they have a schedule, and they're sticking to it, and they're doing a great job. In fact, I think it was she paused outside my door, and I'm like, why is the street sweeper just sitting out there? She got out of the car, picked up some trash cardboard that was in the street, put it in the trash can, and then got back in and did the leaves. It was great effort. It was just amazing, the extra effort. And you can see it around town. You can see the piles and the neatness instead of some of the blight that we've talked about. It's really looking spiffy. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll let them know that it's appreciated.
Commissioner O'Reilly.
Okay, can you guys hear me? You are completely correct. On the computer, because I just got home, there is nowhere to raise your hand. I was like, no, there's got to be. Anyway, Wade, as always, sentiments to you and the team. You guys are doing an amazing job. I actually watched the loader and dump truck go around scooping leaves downtown the other day, and that was a job and a half between everybody blowing their leaves everywhere, and then obviously the fall of the leaves right now. It was mind-boggling how fast these leaves hit the ground, but they did excellent work. Also, real quick, to touch back on Wade's comment, I am sorry, I apologize. I did not mean for my comment to come off that way. I don't mind hearing about other things. I just wanted clarification on the municipal so that we were all on the same page, because sometimes as previously has happened, we hear about the municipal and then we all start making our, giving our opinions and making long conversation of the municipal. So I just wanted to, it was something that previous Commissioner Bunker and I had discussed, and I actually, when I first started, I thought the municipal was a part of the Parks Department until I found out otherwise. So I just wanted clarification on that. As far as all the other teams, the Streets Department, all those guys, the Parks Department, they work great together. They get things done. I've been seeing them everywhere. Like, I thought we hired 20 more people in the city because I've been seeing them everywhere and the work being done. So it's been fantastic. So please, with them, share our gratitude and our thanks, and let us know if there's anything that we can do to help.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And again, I'll give them the accolades that they deserve. Yeah, and just on that note, we're still a few people down. Hopefully, closer to the fiscal year, we can see where the budgets are and maybe fill the positions that we have in our departments. And you'd really see a change then with people getting trained and things like that. So I appreciate the comments. Thank you.
I did see some new people out with the parks crew. How many do we have new people? How many new people do we have?
We 3 new people started November 16th. So one person in the Parks Department and 2 people in the Street Department. We had a person start about 3 or 4 months before that, and another person about 9 months before that. So, we got 5 or 6 relatively new people. Once we get through this pandemic, where we can start gathering somewhat during meetings, I'd like to bring them all in and introduce them to the current commission and the new commissioners, so we can put faces with names, and you guys can appreciate and give your accolades to them personally. So hopefully we can do that next meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Wade.
One of the things I've liked to do with new staff, or you may recall last year during Christmas, was just drop off little gifts for them. And so it's something that if you're at the grocery store and you see some baked goods or something that the Parks Department might appreciate, Wade's pretty receptive to picking those up or bringing them to the team, just as a little note and thank you. And I know that from the times that I've done it, they really appreciate it.
Are we allowed to do that? Is that okay?
Find a law that says you can't, Bobby.
No, I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that it's okay. We won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
My dad really wants to do that, so he should drop it by the city hall for Wade.
That would be fine. Food to a group is okay. Yeah. Individual gifts are a no-no.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Groups. Well, I break that rule, Don. Oopsie.
Well, I'm glad that was clarified, because there's a certain parks employee that hers and her child's bikes were stolen, and I was going down to get a new bike to replace the one that was stolen. How can I legally go about doing that, or how can I rightfully go about doing that? Mind you, the parks employee does not know that I'm going to do that.
Let's have a conversation outside the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Great. We talked about new commissioners. Would now be an appropriate time for Jackie to give an update on this commission's shape and form moving forward.
The only update I really have at this point is that with Chrissy leaving to join the council side, we will be having 3 vacancies on the Parks Commission. Hopefully, the council will approve the recommendations from the executive committee on December 15th. If that goes forward without any problems, then we will have 3 new commissioners to announce at our next meeting and to introduce, and they will start at the next meeting.
And we are also considering holding a special meeting January 12th so that the Parks Commission can appoint a member to the Arts Commission as a liaison. And so that appointed Parks Commissioner can join the Arts Commission on the regularly scheduled February 8th meeting.
Okay. Bobby has his hand up.
I don't see anything in the reports, discussions, and correspondence for us. I was just going to ask you, when is the time for us to say some things?
Oh, you muted yourself halfway through, Mr. O'Reilly.
Sorry. I don't see anywhere on the reports, discussions, correspondence for us to, the commissioners to talk. So I'm just asking.
Commissioner report.
Commissioner reports, yes, the commissioners can report at any time.
Okay, whenever it's time, please. Thank you.
Okay. One moment. Ms. Castro had a question regarding 6A, the sale of the State Theater.
Me too. Thank you, Kay.
Oh,
I was just going to just report an update that sale is nearing the close of escrow. The agreement just had some minor amendments to be made, and so that will fully be in the possession of Stage, hopefully by the first of the year.
thank you. All right, any commissioner reports? Mr. O'Reilly?
Thank you. I have a question for you, Wade. There's a lot of the departments that have got new vehicles. I say a lot of departments. We don't have a lot of departments, but there have been some new vehicles being added to the city with quite a few vehicles going out to surplus. Can you tell me when the Parks Department might get some new vehicles? Particularly, you guys have a very, very old supply van. And in that supply van, whenever a corner is turned, everything falls over in that van. And then the employee has to spend that much time picking everything up off the floor, finding what they need.
You must be talking about our ice cream truck.
Yes, sir.
Our irrigation van. It's probably 40 years old. We actually put a thorough vehicle replacement list together. Me and the lead mechanic and the sewer manager, fleet manager for administration. Equipment and vehicles is a major need within our department. We actually purchased 5 new one-ton vehicles, 1 for sewer department, 1 for code enforcement, and 3 for the Parks Department. I want to say in February or March. We have not received those yet. They're just simple one-ton vehicles with dump beds. They arrived, but they had the wrong beds on them. So they're currently working on that. So we're hoping to receive those trucks within the next few weeks. So that'll be the trucks that we drive every day to pick up debris and things, the smaller one-tons. But we are going to try to move forward with the new skid steer and trailer, new attachments for the skid steer that will help us in our day-to-day operations. We'll be trying to move that forward to administration to move on to approval through the park or city council, hopefully early in January. We're also working on a street sweeper quote. Again, I'm trying to run 2 street sweepers right now, but realistically, one's running full-time because both of them are breaking down so much. The life expectancy on a street sweeper is very limited, and that's a big ticket item. But we have a whole list of items. So the water van, like the one you're just talking about, is high up on the priority list, but we're also looking at electric vehicles and things like that with the new state regulations and things coming down. We're starting to look at alternative resources and not just gas or diesel powered. We're heavily CARB, California Air Resource Board, monitors us heavily. So our diesel engines, we have to replace every so often before they become obsolete or they become low hour mileage. So again, our fleet is in pretty rough shape, but I believe we have funding for new vehicles and hopefully we're moving that forward. So you should see new equipment and new vehicles to help us do our jobs.
Is the city not CARB exempt?
No, the city is not carb exempt.
Okay.
So that's why you've seen we have a new loader. It affects all of our heavy equipment. A lot of our trucks have been retrofitted with the diesel exhaust system where it burns the carbon, but some of those are going to become obsolete. Some of our large vehicles are on low hours, so we can only run them 100 hours a year, things like that. So we're really, some of us becoming limited. So we're trying to make current administration aware, and they're receptive to the idea, yeah, it's going to be pretty pricey up front, but once we start replacing some of these things, it'll slow down because we'll be on an actual regular schedule. Some of our vehicles are 30 to 40 years old that we're still operating out of and trying to use daily, and it's not, our mechanics can't keep up.
So quick question. I am a semi truck driver. I just got out of the semi. A lot of the semis that were non-carb compliant and equipment, logging equipment, most logging equipment's ag exempt, but equipment they use for roads and such. There was a program that CARB and the state of California did that if you turned in your non-compliant vehicle or a piece of equipment, the state or CARB would voucher or co-sign for the new vehicles. Is that something the city has looked into?
I'm a little unfamiliar. That's a little bit out of my territory. The lead mechanic and probably the city administrator could answer that a little bit better. I know they've looked into various grants and opportunities through CARB for big items like the street sweeper or something we run daily. We've just been unsuccessful on some of those. So again, that might be a question for the lead mechanic and potentially the city administrator.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, I would love to see the parks employees running around in Teslas. That would be cool. Now, and then the last thing I had was I just wanted to again say thank you and thank the team. I've been going to I had quite a bit of downtime, so I've been going to the parks daily. Hewitt has been utilized extremely by not so vagrant activities, but by families and small groups and horseshoe players and basketball players and even some boxers were out there boxing with boxing gloves. So the parks are looking amazing as well as they can. If I could, just a recommendation, if we can lock the gate at Bedrock by any chance. There's been a lot of vagrant cars going onto the bike trail from that gate. Yesterday, there was a vehicle that was doing burnouts and donuts and causing quite the chaos throughout town, and that's where they found them, was on the bike trail, and they accessed it from the gate at Bedrock. And I know that when I go through there a lot, that gate is open. I try to close it and put the pin in it, but they know that doesn't lock.
I'll look into that. I think Feather River Recreation Park District's accessing the bike path through that gate, and they may be leaving it open at times, because I have seen them monitoring the bike path pretty frequently. So I'll definitely look into that, and we might have to look at the bollards and things, because you can drive over the sidewalk in some of the areas to get on the bike path.
Thank you. Just trying to think of some safety things, because that was a fiasco when that car was out there and people were walking the bike path. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Castro.
I saw in the packet something about the Adopt a Park program, and I know it's not on the agenda, and I just want to make sure we don't drop that, and it'd be great to bring it up again when our 3 new commissioners are here.
That one activity fell underneath our second priority, park involvement and marketing. And so I'm hoping that if we can stick to those priorities, that won't get lost. Not that I'm a part of the we anymore, though.
Yeah, our clerk sent out that packet to the group again today so that you guys have a PDF version of it. So if you know of any volunteer groups or agencies that would like to adopt a park, you should have that packet in your email to send off to them.
I did receive it. Thank you. And real quick, I lied. That wasn't all I had. Congratulations, Commissioner Riggs, on council. We're going to miss you over here at the Parks Department. Don't forget about us. And good luck on your endeavors.
Thank you, O'Reilly. I appreciate that. And parks are very important to me. So you could trust that I won't be forgetting about the parks, but advocating for them in that new role. So if there's nothing else, I believe that will conclude our meeting. The next regular meeting would be February 9th, but recall that there is an option for one in January.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. Welcome, Jordan.